How's everybody doing? I was kind of wore out yesterday, but when Patches came in, my cat started bugging me to go to bed. She did this before. She would, and she did it. She does it still a little bit. She's in there with me a little more now that Mama's died. But she used to do that. She'd get me to go to bed, and as soon as like 7, 8 o'clock at night, she'd make her rounds in the house. She'd move around, and a lot of times she'd be there in the morning, waking me up for breakfast. Because when Mom started getting really sick, and she understands. The other cat's getting to do it a little bit too. Like he wanted out on the porch this week. It was either end of last week or the beginning of this week. I think it was the end of last week. He really, be a good girl. Yeah, be a good girl. Don't puke on me. Yeah, puke somewhere where it's easier to clean up, and then I'll clean it up. But he wanted out on the porch, and I told him I was going to be doing laundry that day. He just turned around and he's getting to where he understands, oh, laundry is when he runs those evil machines out on the porch. And but with her, I didn't think it'd do any good, but I told her, I go, hey, if Mom's awake and if she's up, by all means, have her get you breakfast if you want. But I go, if Mom's asleep or if she's in bed, I asked her, I go, please come and get me to get you breakfast. I go, even if you gotta wake me up a little bit. And she started doing that. She started coming and giving, so she understood, and I think she understood Mom's getting, that was like the last, that was before they even found the cancer. Not before they diagnosed it as definitely cancer. That was before they even found it. She was starting to have problems before July of last year. And but no, she was pretty good about that. And but she would come up and tuck me in, and then she goes. She does that a little bit now, where she wants me in bed by 7, 8 o'clock, cat time, And last night because there's been a couple nights where I wasn't gonna go to sleep, and I was I'm like, I'm just gonna sit in the chair, so I'm not laying in bed all day. And but last night I was kind of tired, so yeah, I'll go to bed. And she was pretty happy about that. So I got up early, and I'm a little better rested than I am in the mornings. And
we'll rip these brutes to shreds.
Gotta activate 4 of these things. Yeah, I got Ancient Aliens on, and this is the thing that gets me. You got this case where I'm far away. I'm standing right over the treasure, and it's activating that thing over there. Okay. I might not be as awake as I think I am. I might end the stream early, but I'll try and get the stream done. And but they seriously do. They were sitting there talking. Now this is on Ancient Aliens, but they're basically saying that the military has confirmed. It's a video they had of the triangle-shaped or pyramid-shaped UFOs. And they were showing you the thing from the military stating that the military confirms that the videos of pyramid-shaped UFOs are authentic. and understand, you know, I'm sorry, but if people are stupid, changing the name of something isn't going to matter. It's like these people, oh, well, we need term limits, and then the people that are too stupid to vote for good candidates will be magically cured when we get rid of, you know, it's like, well, no, all you're going to be doing is having them voting for idiots that are inexperienced. And you'll have what they have in the Republican Party, where you got people too stupid to do the job in there. You know, the far left, it wants to team up with the far right to give us a left-leaning version of the Tea Party or the Freedom Caucus. And, you know, it's not going to help. Well, if you got people out there that are too stupid to understand that the U in UFO stands for unidentified, meaning not meaning alien, meaning we don't know what it is. And it could be a comet. It could be a satellite coming back into orbit. You know, it could be some new drone that they made that a kid is flying and nobody knows about. But it just means it's unknown. And so they ended up with this unidentified aerial phenomenon or whatever it is, an anomalous phenomenon. And like, I'm sorry, if you're too stupid to understand, you're going to fuck it up with UAP too. You know, it's not a cure for stupidity. It doesn't have this magical power to fix stupid people like some people think it is. I don't know if it does any good, and I got to be honest with you. And Rachel Maddow had posted something about Senator Menendez. How the Senate isn't really calling for him to be removed. And I just added, I kind of quoted it and shared it. And I said, look, I understand this is going to sound crazy, but, and I can't remember if I ended up doing it or deleting it, but I kind of wanted to mention that, you know, when Lou Elizondo, military guy that ran one of those UFO programs, when he went on, I think, 60 Minutes, he told him, you know, what he was there, and the guy goes, you know, that sounds crazy. He goes, I'm not saying it doesn't sound crazy, because I'm telling you it's real. You know, that was, and I thought that was very outstanding, where he let him know, because I'm not saying it doesn't sound crazy, what I'm saying is that it's real. You know, that's what he was trying to say.
I like to think the world is safer so now.
Yeah. And I will do my best to play, even though somebody wants to hold hands.
I can't do that.
Well, I gotta say, and I take it as a good sign, both cats seem to have a good appetite yesterday. They and today so far. So whatever it was, it seems to have been, and I'm not saying it won't come back, but it seems to have been temporary.
That is impossible. That would not be wise.
Come back, yeah, you're welcome. You don't have to leave. You're welcome anytime you want to come. I'll be here. Or you just lay down and we'll just be friends. Yeah. We'll just lay down and we'll both be friends.
No, I will not do that. That is impossible. No, I will not do that.
Yeah, the other day when I had to go, I didn't have to, but I ended up going. I'm kind of glad I did, because I went to the store and the weather was absolutely beautiful that day. It was a great day to be outside. Yesterday it was kind of gloomy and rainy. Today it looks like it's even, I mean, it doesn't look bad. We're not getting massive storms, but it looks gloomy and rainy.
That would not be wise.
But, hang on, I'm gonna...
I can't do that. That would not be wise. I am returning to
I'm gonna go unload, otherwise I think the next one I'm gonna fill up. Oh, I saw one video, and I don't know if it was on YouTube or Instagram or Threads, but it was a guy that was fixing his brakes, it looked like, and he was just minding his own business, no big deal. Somebody had called the cops because they could hear a voice come that sounded like it was coming from his house, going, "Help, help me, let me out," you know that. And the cops showed up, and the guy didn't really freak out. And when they explained what was going on, he started laughing. He asked him to wait outside, and then he went in and got his parrot, and the parrot, he said, was like 20 or 30 years old or something like that. I don't have any idea how long parrots live, but because like I know the female cat we got, every day is a gift that we have with it. It really is, because she's like, give or take a couple months, because we found her as a stray. We really don't know when she was born. Give or take a few months, she's like 18, 19 years old now. And so I really do feel like every day we get with her is an honest to God gift, you know, honest to goodness gift, whatever you want to call it. And but you know, he apparently had it when he was a kid, and it's still with him. And when he was a kid, he taught the kid or the parrot to say that. Well, here's the thing, and I really don't know, but I really hope they went in and investigated, because if you were a charming, stone cold serial killer, that would be a good way to cover up, you know, shit like that. Like if you had somebody in there that you were raping and torturing, having a parrot that would do that, so you could just show the cops.
Troubling news. Another cult
be
has emerged from the shadows.
Would be a good way to
Its
cover
members
things
gather
up.
to the north. They conduct their rituals under the veil of the shrouded moors, where few will think to look for them. One can only guess.
I don't know that they did, but that's something those cops should have thought of. But 'cause I watched, I kind of laughed, and then it was a few hours later, it kind of clicked. I'm like, wait a minute, that might have been real, and maybe he's another Jeffrey Dahmer or whatever, and he's got the parrot to cover the shit up.
No end to the number of rituals these cultists will use to twist mortal flesh. Some call the process ascension, a lie that no doubt buys them obedience. But mark my words, these abominations have not ascended. They live only to suffer and hate until they meet their final
I can't do
death.
that.
Oh, I don't get to go to another one.
I need to go back.
Yeah, when it was Rachel. Rachel, somebody had posted a thing by Rachel Maddow on Threads, and it was talking about this senator that, and I said, look, I know this is gonna sound crazy, I really do, but you know, it doesn't mean it's not true. You know, it doesn't mean it's not a possibility. I go, if you go back and look at the Phoenix Lights event, I go, when Phoenix Lights happened, you had a governor who really pushed for finding out what was going on, like what it was. Okay. Ooh, yeah, this is like a massive more life per second. And twice the armor. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and upgrade.
New goods today. Please look. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, okay, because I went on that. I never actually finished this one, so I gotta go redo it. Now, the nice thing is I know where the map's going.
I am returning to town.
Okay, so we can start to go this way. Okey pokey. they're talking about some fish or fish-inspired alien race, and it goes back to the Sumerians.
I cannot find a
And
single account
then
of a
you hear
prisoner
about-
surviving exile to the desolate sands.
And I don't know if any of
The
this shit's
wastes
true. I
are
really
littered
don't. And a
with
lot of the stuff I
bones
used to
that have
write
been
off as
picked
nuts.
dry by
I
the endlessly
absolutely
circling
did.
bloodhawks,
But when
or
we live in a
desperately
world where you've got
Those who die
credible
meet their end
whistleblowers
without the
saying that,
sanctity
yeah,
of
we've
life.
recovered alien craft with bodies in it. When he's basically testifying under oath to Congress that you know, people, he's heard reports that people have been killed or harmed to cover up the UFOs. You know, and talking about how him and his wife have been victim to it. You know, and we've seen it. You know, it really looks like there is a smear campaign in much the same fashion that happened to Bob Lazar. I mean, different methods. He called it administrative terrorism, is what he called it. I don't know how you can't at least try to keep an open mind for it. I really don't. And it just blows me away. And but I did. I kind of quoted that thing on Rachel talking about the center, and I said, look, I know this might sound crazy. You know, it doesn't mean it isn't. But I go, you go back and look at the Phoenix Lights, and I think I'm gonna try and finish my thought. Like I said, I'm trying to watch this, and but when he started pushing for, you know, what was really going on with the Phoenix Lights, because he had some, you know, he's a governor, he had some authority, he had some ability to research this, and this is like out there in Utah on the Skinwalker Ranch. The Attorney General had his own sources, and there was a helicopter flying over their private property, and the military is not supposed to be operating within the United States. That would be a violation of the Posse Comitatus law, I think. And you know, unless martial law has been declared, they can't be operating. And if it's a training mission over private property like that, you would think that they would have to inform the people. Because here's the thing, you know, they were flying with no radar signature. And the Attorney General out there in Utah, or the former one, I think it's the current one, he was able to confirm that it was a military flight. Well, you know, they're doing experiments launching rockets. They're doing experiments with lasers. They're doing experiments with their helicopter, and it's their property. And by them not flying radar, and if it isn't official military business, they should have to have their radar. They should have to follow all the civilian rules. Like, you know, when they're driving military vehicles down the road for the National Guard or the military, they got to follow all posted speed limits and everything else. They can't go breaking the law, or they're going to get ticketed. They're going to get into trouble. And it should be the same for them flying their helicopters. Now, if it is official, Posse Comitatus. If it isn't official, if they're just, you know, flying, or if it's training or something like that, well, they should have to have their radar on. They absolutely should. And
The Zakarum scholar Brass wrote that the desolate sands were created after a mage clan battle sent out explosive energies that devastated the entire area. But he doesn't
okay, I
account
found
for the
him.
enormous skeletons. No one has ever identified them. Were they a lost race of
And
giant beasts?
he was making a big
Demons?
push. He was going
Mythical
full guns,
dragons?
trying to find out what
may
those
not be
Phoenix
wrong.
Lights were. Because, like, you know, half the fucking state saw it. You know, this was not an uncredible sight. It was seen all over. They had credible footage of it. And what happened was and it was like Menendez. It was like Hunter Biden. All of a sudden, all these charges just appeared. And I'm not saying he didn't do it, but they did not seem to give a fuck. They literally did not seem to give a fuck.
Maybe if I hid in the trees, they wouldn't.
And then all of a sudden, boom, they got all this shit going on, you know, and as soon as he backed off, as soon as he held that press conference where he put his fucking, he put his chief of staff in a fucking ET suit, then the charges started disappearing. A plea deal approached, and he was pretty much, you know, in the clear. And I said, look, I'm not saying he didn't do it, but I go, when you look at the stuff that others have done that is far worse, and you look at, none of this is new. I don't think there's any new charges. This is stuff they could have charged him with, you know, years ago. It just kind of makes me wonder, are the charges against Hunter and Senator Menendez, are they basically because the president and Congress is looking into disclosure? I really gotta wonder, and because I go, look what happened. You had even the leadership, Senator Schumer, Chuck, he wrote his own amendment. Senator Gillibrand, Mark Rubio, they had their amendment. It was going to be calling for this. They were all talking about it, big guns going forward. And I go, now they've all gone quiet on it. They've all gone quiet on it. And, you know, there were reporters saying, their sources say the Senate's locked on this. The Senate is going to pass at least Schumer's, maybe both. And it sounds like they had bipartisan support for the Senate amendments that would go in. And then all of a sudden, you know, you got this charge. I go, they're being real quiet on it. I go, almost like these charges have silenced them. And I go, this is something I think we need to look at, where you might have some corruption going on around the Pentagon, around military contractors, and it looks like they honestly might be threatening, you know, the president's family and the senator and others to keep it quiet, to make sure they don't pass this amendment. I go, I think it's a real thing that we should be worried about. I go, I'm not saying he didn't do it, but I go, clearly they didn't give a shit about it. Because I go, they could have done this 2 years ago. It sounds like all the evidence was there years ago. And yet
that is impossible.
They didn't care about it. And I go, you look at Matt Gaetz, this is a guy that inexplicably has not been charged for crimes. And now all of a sudden he's pulling this shit where he's trying to shut the government down. Because again, they were going to pass those amendments, it sounds like, at least in the Senate, maybe in the House. I go, it sounds like there is some support for this stuff in the House. Well, and all of a sudden, you know, it was him shutting down the government the quid pro quo for him getting off with those those human trafficking charges and those statutory rape charges. I think it's a little bit plausible that, you know, we should take a good look at the motivation, because I go, there have been credible prosecutors that have said they cannot understand why Biden is being charged at all. Nothing is adding up. It doesn't make any sense. And, you know, and the assumption is that it's all political, and maybe it is. You know, it could very well be. But I go, it could be that the Republicans are basically doing the work of the shadow government. You know, I think it's at least a possibility. See, the thing they're talking about now is, I think this guy was military. Well, he had a meeting, and it was with the FBI and others. And when it was all over, the FBI told him, allegedly, that this meeting never happened, and we're confiscating all the information you brought us. And they're saying, this guy might have been a civilian pilot, but he was either a civilian pilot or he was military. Well, this guy had made a copy of what he had brought.
He set out in 1 week's time.
Or he brought the copy.
To search,
you know, he had a copy, or he still had the original, and he never said anything. And he didn't lie to anybody. He just didn't volunteer it. So he still had the recording of whatever it was that the FBI wanted to confiscate.
We are not too late.
That would not be wise.
Adversary is before us.
Vengeance!
I can't do that.
This is the thing, you know, and I'm being honest here. I don't think I'm crazy. I don't think this is really that crazy. But like, we just watched it where you had, you know, Republican members stating that their witnesses were being tampered with. Like the one guy, he goes, I'm not sure we can prove it in a court of law, but he goes, it's pretty obvious that our witnesses are being intimidated and harassed to get them to not come forward. And they've talked about how, you know, in the military it might still be going on where when these guys actually report like a UFO sighting, that, you know, they're supposed to have whistleblower protection. Well, what happens is they get interrogated for like 16 hours and they're ridiculed. That one Master Chief who was on the, I think he was on the Nimitz. He was basically on board the ship when the David Fravor sighting happened. I think he was with that group, and I think that was the Eisenhower, but I'm not sure. Maybe the Nimitz. And he was the guy that when they picked this thing up on radar, or they could visually see it, he mentioned to the captain, he goes, are we going to send somebody out to intercept it? And the captain goes, well, why would we do that? And he goes, well, we're doing active training here. He goes, if that thing's in our airspace and we don't know who it is, we're not in communication with it. He goes, we should definitely go investigate it, because if one of our pilots crashes into it, our fault, their fault, nobody's fault. Questions might be raised why we didn't. And he goes, you know, he goes, that's a really good point, Master Chief. Why don't you make it happen? He goes, aye, aye, sir. You know, he got going on it. And then he tried looking it up later. He tried doing his own investigations. I mean, he basically brought up some good points. I mean, again, not a UFO point, not a conspiracy theory point, just a practical point. Hey, look, we don't know what it is. We're not in contact. We're not in communication with it. It's not in communication with us. And we're doing training here. If there's an accident and we don't go and investigate, people are going to wonder why we didn't. And the captain was like, you know, I can't really argue with that. You know, let's make it happen. Well, he went to fucking investigate it later. He's a Master Chief. He's like a fairly high-ranking non-commissioned officer, and he went to go investigate it. So he was going to bring up the data logs, and the way he was explaining it in an interview, they were gone. And when he went there, you could see where they had been. Kind of like if you go to a bookshelf and you pull a book, well, the next person might not know what book you took, but they're going to see that gap. And that's what he was saying that he found when he went there. They were no longer on any, and they asked him about it. He said, look, I'm not even sure how you do that. He goes, it's not supposed to be possible, but they were gone. But, you know, that wasn't really his wheelhouse, so he didn't know how it had happened. But he said, yeah, there were just, you could see where the entry had been. You could see that the entry had been there, but the entry itself was gone. You couldn't access it. And so, like, when you hear this guy talking, well, yeah, you know, there's the FBI came in, they took all our data. They did this during the Kennedy thing. During the Kennedy assassination, the Secret Service took data, like film and all this other stuff, and the Secret Service was taking it into custody, at least according to a couple of the documentaries they've done on this, not movies, documentaries. And, you know, where they were reinvestigating the JFK assassination, and what they found was that when the Secret Service took this stuff, it vanished. Even the FBI didn't see it again after that. It just vanished. And, you know, so they whether I don't think the Secret Service is necessarily involved in it, but they've got that Secret Service playbook of taking evidence, you know, basically manipulating evidence or making evidence vanish so you can't get some straight answers. And I just don't know. And again, I don't care so much if Mendez did it. And and again, I don't know if he did it, but it really looks bad. It really, really looks bad. But if he did it, hey, I don't, the same thing, you know, that, oh, well, you know, what about Hunter Biden? Hey, if he broke the law, charge him. But when you talk to, you know, legitimate, credible, you know, prosecutors, not fucking nut jobs, dope addicts, gun runners, and everything that the Republican Party's trying to bring into their hearings and shit, people that were fired for malpractice or incompetence, at various government jobs, you know, people that might have an axe to grind, they all say the same thing. They can't understand why Hunter Biden's being charged. You know, the first one I ever heard, it was a former prosecutor. The only reason this guy's being charged is because his last name's Biden and his dad is the president. He said that flat out. Another one said, look, in my 20 years of being a federal prosecutor, she goes, the gun charge that they've got him on, she goes, I only used it once. And she goes, and I'm not talking about my career. She goes, I've done a little, she's a law professor now. She goes, I've done a little bit of looking. She goes, I can't find one case where that charge was used where the gun in question was not used in a crime. She couldn't find it. She looked. She looked for an example where somebody used this, and it's right now before the Supreme Court is being unconstitutional. And I've seen it before where when you've got something like that before the Supreme Court, prosecutors don't bring the case until after the Supreme Court's ruled. They just don't, because they don't want to waste the resources trying a case when it's likely going to get overturned. But she said usually what happens is that law is used when you've got a criminal who's used a gun in a crime and you can't get him for anything else. Or you want to add a couple extra years or whatever to a jail sentence to keep a hard criminal off the streets. But she said, I've never seen this used on somebody where a crime wasn't involved. Now, I can't find one case where it was used like that, she said. And, gotta kill 61 more douchebags. And I got some volunteers. But no, you know, that people on the left, we've all been saying that, you know, hey, if Hunter's done something, charge him. But I think there's even some people on the right that, you know, maybe not enough of them, but I think there's people on the right that don't want to see him scapegoated just because he's, you know, president's kid. And this is the thing that gets me. And again, you know, right is right, wrong is wrong. If he really did it, fair enough. But you got, after 9/11, they passed a law to make having a fake ID a felony. And the Republicans did not pass it until George W. Bush's daughters, twin daughters, were above 21 because they were using fake IDs. And they didn't want, you know, and there was some other stuff they did. You take a look at the Trump kids, and some of them were not private. They were working inside the government for daddy. Son-in-law, daughter. I don't think the two sons were, but the daughter and the son-in-law were all involved in the White House. And when you look at the crimes that they did, things that would have been crimes even if you wouldn't have been working for the government, they still haven't been charged. You know, and some of it was stuff that was really bad when they were using, you know, daddy's influence and daddy's connection to get millions and billions of dollars worth of fucking handouts from other countries to get on daddy's good graces. And, you know, and it's like, I'm sorry, but if we're going to charge Democrats' kids stuff that, you know, experts are saying shouldn't even be charged, we're going to be charging Democrats' kids, well, then you better start indicting, you know, fucking Ivanka or Ivana and Jared. You know, get them going. And what's funny now is there's like a court case in New York where she's trying to play a sovereign citizen thing, like, oh, well, I'm not in New York, so they have no jurisdiction over me. And I should just get to decide who from my company is going to go testify in this. You know, they want me, but I don't live in New York. They've got no jurisdiction. You know, yeah, they do. You know, it's a full faith and credit of the United States. When they give you a subpoena, you either show up or they will issue an arrest warrant, and that arrest warrant will go to the police, and the police will come to your state and work with local authorities in Florida, and they will haul your fat ass back to New York and fucking have some justice done.
I need to go back.
Hey, lady, I got some. New things. You should take a look.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. I don't even know how long it is. It's 45 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. I might try to do a Minecraft stream, but if I don't, the way I'm feeling right now, it could be just because I'm a little lightheaded, and it could be because I'm still working on that project. But I might just do something else. But I really want to get working on that. But I might do something else. But if I do a Minecraft stream, I'll either I'll pick something else that I'm trying. Maybe I'll just try and get that Nether portal opened up. It's over by where I'm doing the raid farm, Emerald Farm. There's an underwater. There's an underwater Nether portal, and I've been trying to. I did one on the other one where I fixed it up where it was in water, but it was working. And then this one here, I'm actually making an air bubble under the water. And I think I'm going to make it look like it's an old building that was above ground, kind of like what we have in our world, where there's you've got these old buildings that are underwater because when they were built, the sea levels were like, 20, 30 feet lower or more. Peace out, and I hope everybody has a really good day. If you're still here, write your congressman and elected officials all level. Try and get assisted suicide legalized. would really help me out. I think it would help a lot of people out. We've got this mass shooter that just shot a whole bunch of people in Maine. Insurance companies and hospitals can let people die. They can murder people if they can't pay the bills. They can just unhook them and let them die. We should have assisted suicide legalized for people that are sick and people that are dying. It should be an option at least. And then the other thing, in D.C., I think outside of D.C. it ain't going to do you a whole lot of good. But in D.C., write everybody you can think about and ask them to pass Chuck Schumer's amendment on disclosure and pass Senator Gillibrand and Mark Rubio's amendment on the intelligence bill on disclosure. Let's get that done. Let's get that done because, if we get rid of whatever's going on in Washington, not we need to vote for term. No, we need real shit done. And if we get this disclosure happening, whatever it is, whatever this $1 billion a year or more infrastructure that somebody looks like they're trying to protect, somebody is harassing and threatening congressional witnesses for, ones that seem to be manipulating our justice system, with Gates and the senator and others and Hunter Biden, whoever's manipulating that so they can hide this, corruption, this money that's coming. Once that money's gone, they won't be able to do it anymore. Once they're in jail, they won't be able to do it anymore. So let's get going on this. And if you're watching this on YouTube, slap the shit out of that like button. Don't even fucking, be nice to it. Just slap it viciously. Wipe it on the curtain as you're leaving the room. And if you're watching this on Twitter, hit that follow, subscribe button on Twitter. And don't spend any money, seriously. If you want to help me out, get that legalized assisted suicide going. But don't, just whatever's free on Twitter. I think it's actually called subscribing on YouTube. But just, whatever the free stuff is, it helps out. Maybe on YouTube leave a comment. But peace out and hope everybody's having a great day.